Bear down, Chicago Bears. Today, we've had an incredible 24 hours for football in general. I don't know how you feel about it, but the Dallas Cowboys, oh, Stephen A. Smith never disappoints. The Dallas Cowboys coming in as a big time top seed, losing to a 7 seed for the first time ever as the hated Green Bay Packers at 9-8 come away with a 48-32 victory. Guys, I'm not a fan of the Chicago Bears. I'm even less of I'm not a fan of the Green Bay Packers. I'm less a fan of the Dallas Cowboys. I think that I would like to see both of those teams lose every single game. But when I have to go against it, when I have to look at it, I do have to take my Chicago Bears hat off for just a second because to me, in my opinion, the Dallas Cowboys are the most insufferable fans in all of sports. Maybe the Yankees are a little bit closer, but they've got an era. They've actually had a real era of excellence. 28 World Series, 26 World Series, something like that. Dallas Cowboys, they won a couple titles once, and they act like they're supposed to be there. So for me, drives me absolutely out of my mind. So shout out to what just looked like a team that was not prepared for success, that was not prepared for what was getting ready to happen. It was just, to me, it was just absolutely wild. Yeah, I could not believe what I saw. But the big news for the day, Green Bay Packers are moving on. Dallas Cowboys fall 48-32. Stephen A. Smith laughing as long as the day is. So I do hope that doesn't lead to Green Bay making some kind of radical and wild run towards the Super Bowl. Certainly would like to see them go down now because that part is done. But here we are. So 48-32, Jordan Love, 16 of 21, 272 yards, 3 touchdowns. Dak Prescott, 41 of 60, 403 yards, 3 touchdowns, 2 interceptions. By the way, Jair Alexander, product of Louisville, where I'm originally from, had a breakout game. So he said that Dak Prescott's now his favorite quarterback because he's had a couple of interceptions from him. So shout out to them, and we're not going to talk about them again because now the Green Bay Packers are dead to me. So, Green Bay, for one day, I wasn't even supporting you, but I sure do like listening to Stephen A. Smith laugh about the Dallas Cowboys. I'll say that. Now, Cowboys are the first team to lose to a number 7 seed in the playoffs since the NFL expanded the postseason bracket. So, shout out to everybody. And by the way, if you are just coming in, please make sure that you hit the like button and the subscribe button on the way in. Helps me out, pushes me up in the algorithm, and does me a service. So thank you so much for tuning in. By the way, for those of you that have been listening to me for any length of time, you know I'm a big maxi on Malik Neighbors. And just another year, Chicago Bears just put out a friendly reminder that Malik Neighbors may be a Chicago Bear next year. And now, of course, I'm getting some kind of interference here out of nowhere. But I've been watching this video clip all morning long of Malik Neighbors just absolutely blowing this out of the water. Absolutely crazy what you see out of Malik Neighbors. Just cruising, absolutely crushing. So for those of you that don't know what I'm looking for and what I'm hoping for as the draft picks for the Chicago Bears would be number 1, Marvin Harrison Jr. at the best possible position that you can get him, and then a follow-up of Malik Neighbors to create what I think would be one of the better trios in all of the NFL. So if that's the case, and by the way, some of you might be saying, well, what about Rome Odunze? Or what about Keon Coleman? Or somebody like that. And my answer to you is actually very, very simple in that regard. I think Malik Neighbors represents the position and the player that Justin Fields needs, not the long playmaker taking it out that you might want, not the guy that's going to go running down the field. That is Malik Neighbors. He can do that, but his ability to get separation in tight space is probably the best, or the only other person who's comparable in this draft is Marvin Harrison Jr. To grab two guys like that and to have them and know that they're here for the next 4 years would be absolutely tremendous. And in fact, I think this might be, because my connection seems to be just fine. It probably runs that there is a problem here with, of course, with Twitter all over again. So anyway, Malik Neighbors, I that's my guy. I do hope that he comes in. I do hope that that's somebody that we get with. But the big news for the day, by the way, and this is not sitting well with a lot of different people, but the Bears have reportedly fired Cliff Stein. He has, for somewhere near 20 something years, 22 years, he's been the guy that negotiates contracts for the Chicago Bears. He's been the guy that, and we are in a contract negotiation with Jalen Johnson, and this is the guy that does it. So Stein came to the Bears under Jerry Angelo in 2002 after team president Ted Phillips had been negotiating contracts. Stein did this for 13 years until Ryan Pace became general manager. Then Joey Lane took over the duty, but Stein remained on staff and started doing it again briefly when Ryan Poles took over as GM prior to Matt Feinstein taking on those chores. The reported firing greatly angered former Bears college scouting director Greg Gabriel, and this became apparent through social media. Gabriel was with the Bears through 2010 and has been involved in football scouting or media for 40 years. And Gabriel found on X, the G Gabe football he said, going forward for a while, my account will remain private. I will not post on anything Bears, as they aren't the organization I once worked for. Wait a minute, don't you get paid by Windy City Gridiron to provide content for them? Any comment I have on hirings, signing, trades, etc. Will come in Windy City Gridiron and GTF on the Barroom Network. In short, blank them. At one point, Gabriel appeared to threaten to reveal some skeletons in the closet at Hallis Hall. Tune in Tuesday at 11 a.m. to GTF on the Barroom Network, as we will tell some stories I have remained quiet about for some time. So, in fact, look, Greg Gabriel, you're not entitled to a job. Nobody's entitled to a job. Cliff Stein may have done a good job, but why do you think that Kevin Warren is not entitled to have his own people in charge? Why do you think that only the people that you like get to be the people who work for the Chicago Bears? And where do you get off threatening an NFL team when you don't get the people in when the people aren't working in the front office that you want working in the front office? Now all of a sudden you've got this moral compass. Look, your moral compass, if there's something wrong that was going on and you didn't reveal it before, you're no better than them. So, and by the way, I don't mean to be disrespectful, and I hope that anybody here who is a fan of Greg Gabriel understands my stance on this. If you are aware of impropriety and you are complicit in covering it up, you're the problem and you're part of the problem. And if you use that in order to take a shot at somebody post fact when it's convenient for you because you don't like something that they've done, doesn't make you any better than those people. So just a little bit wild what's going on here. Changes at Hallis Hall in the front office were probably to be expected, considering new president Kevin Warren has been at Hallis Hall about a year and has familiarized himself with their operations, also because of what he said at the postseason press conference. I watch everything. I had one-on-one meetings with over 211 of our employees, from practice to walkthrough to games. This is my life. So expect to see more changes coming through over the next bunch of days as he kind of refines and gets, all of this stuff redone in the way that he wants it to be done. So, and I don't understand why that would be a problem, but we've apparently made it our problem right now. By the way, shout out to everybody who subscribed to the channel. We got about 20 people watching right now. Make sure you hit the like button on the way in. Pushes us up in the algorithm. Makes it easier for me to get new eyes and people checking it out. But now let's take a quick look at what we've done so far. This is our story so far in the search for a new offensive coordinator. And as of this moment, it looks like the front runner has been Shane Waldron of the Seattle Seahawks because Pete Carroll is out. And by the way, rumors have it that he could be headed back to USC. I don't think that those are founded rumors. It seems like, you put out feelers when you're doing these separations. I think Pete Carroll's camp probably put out a little rumor here that he would be open to returning to USC. But I don't know that they're going to do anything with Lincoln Riley. So, I think that I don't think there's anything to the Pete Carroll rumor, but that does mean that Shane Waldron is available. And I think that this could be the guy. Like, I think this could be the guy that ends up coming here, because that's the one that seems to be on everybody's mind. Now, the question for this is going to be, is Shane Waldron the guy, no matter who the quarterback is, by the way. I am a Justin Fields fan, but I'm a Chicago Bears fan first. So if they bring in Caleb Williams, who should be making an announcement today, if he says that he's returning for his senior season, I would posit that is the best thing that could happen for the Chicago Bears. And let me explain why. In the event that were to happen, then we could get some draft capital, again, more draft capital, so that we could then select a Marvin Harrison Jr. a little bit lower by picking up somebody's first round pick next year, hoping that we identify the worst potential team, which in my mind is probably going to be either the Washington Commanders or the Atlanta Falcons. If we can make a trade with them and we can get their first round pick next year for this, then it's possible that the Caleb Williams Derby becomes a Bears thing again next year. So, and if not, Arch Manning's going to be out there. There's going to be some qualified quarterbacks that are going to come, just in case we run it back one more time with Justin Fields. And I do like the fact that we could be running it back with Justin Fields. By the way, for every single one of these offensive coordinators that we've talked to so far, I'm super impressed with the lineup and the group of people that we are looking at in reviewing them, because look at Waldron over here. He's ranked 16th, 10th, and 17th in scoring offense. Now, that's not great. However, they've ranked 24th, 12th, and 14th in passing yards per game. But coming into this, remember, they were in a team in turmoil with Russell Wilson, et cetera, but Waldron received a lot of praise for his work with Geno Smith in 2022 when the quarterback won the Comeback Player of the Year award. That's the kind of thing that we want to see. We want to see a comeback on Justin Fields. Not that Justin Fields even needs to come back, but we do have this little sense of Justin Fields doesn't do this or Justin Fields doesn't do that. There's always somebody out there talking about the hangups of Justin Fields, and I would love to see that all put entirely to rest. Now, the next guy on this list, Clint Kubiak. Now, of the available people, by the way, Clint Kubiak, very young, but and I'm nervous with Clint Kubiak, by the way, because of his relationship. Look, he's been in the Shanahan offense. He's been in that Gary Kubiak tree. He's been part of that, and I think that there's been some success in that, but I've got a little bit of a reticent sort of approach to that. Kubiak is the current passing game coordinator for the San Francisco 49ers. Brock Purdy, they've done a fantastic job. He was the OC for Minnesota in 2021. Spent the 2022 season with the Denver Broncos. He took over the 49ers passing game coordinator this season from Bobby Slowick. And he is seen as a cerebral offensive mind, much like his father, and has some experience as a play caller after taking over the duties down the stretch of the Denver Broncos last season. Shane Kubiak tree has a lot of successful branches in the NFL. And then, if we look and just take Brock Purdy out of the mix and just kind of look statistically at the leading passing offenses out here. We're looking at the postseason right now. Of course, why would we be looking at the regular season? Come on, guys, make this easy. San Francisco 49ers ranked number 4 in passing offense for this year. So, and that's with Brock Purdy, by the way. So, what could he do with a talent like Justin Fields? maybe, just maybe, we turn him into the passer that we've thought he could be all of this time. Because, at current level, 182 yards passing a game, that's just not going to cut it in the NFL. Now, it could be that we add another 40 yards to it, we get middle of the pack, and that's good enough to get to the Super Bowl. And I do want to say that I think, for the record, I think Justin Fields is a Super Bowl worthy candidate. I think that Justin Fields can take this team to the Super Bowl. And by the way, I do think that this team is a Super Bowl contender for next year. When I say that, I don't want to say that I think that the Chicago Bears are going to run it all the way through, right? There's going to be some ups and downs. There's going to be some growing pains because we're still a team that's in transition. There's a lot of questions right now surrounding a few positions that are going to be very, very important. But I feel like, and I had somebody yesterday leave a comment because I said, in my opinion, that the Chicago Bears were going to be just like the Philadelphia Eagles, where they, and by the way, this guy held up a mirror at this point and was like, bro, you got to do exactly the exact thing. It has to be the exact, the most specific thing. Like, no, it doesn't. Like, guys, listen, I'm not saying that you have to do everything that the Philadelphia Eagles did in order to get to the Super Bowl. What I'm saying is you start off the season not doing very well. You start off the season looking pretty bad. Then you turn it on at the end of the season and you look like a quality team where before you did not. The Bears finished 5-3. If they had done that in the first part of the season, the Green Bay Packers would not have been playing the Dallas Cowboys. The Chicago Bears would have. And look, say what you want about, what happened here. And look, situational gameplay is a little bit different. The Green Bay Packers rolled up 48 points on the Dallas Cowboys. They rolled up 48 points on the Dallas Cowboys. The Dallas Cowboys, by the way, in case you didn't know, checked in as the number 5 overall pass defense in the league. And when it came to rushing, the Dallas Cowboys came in middle of the pack right here around 15th, 1,910 yards. Not as good as Chicago Bears, but look, 48 points versus the Bears the week before, 17 points. And again, this is situational, so you can't compare one game to another, but you can look at it and you can get an eye test here. And it looked like the Chicago Bears defense was playing much better than the Dallas Cowboys defense at this point. Now, if that continues and the offense is much improved, this is a very different Chicago Bears team. So I do think that the potential absolutely exists for this team to be vastly improved. And again, Dallas Cowboys sitting down here 1,910 yards in their passing game. Dallas Cowboys, a top 5 defensive team. So it would stand to reason that we make a comparison, again, not a complete comparison, but I do think that we compare very favorably. Look, there were a couple of plays, and there were a couple of situations which I think are totally the fault. And look, and I'm one of those guys, I do the same thing that a lot of people do. I blame um, I blame Luke Getzey. I blame Luke Getzey for some of this stuff happening. I think that he could have, or should have, or had reason to do a better job. And when it's almost, to me, inexcusable that you throw 16 passes in your final game when you really just want your quarterback to air it out and prove everybody wrong, and you want to make the playoffs. You want to kill your rival, get them out of the playoffs. When you want to do all of these things that is going to take an offense that's running on all cylinders. When you know, by the way, that the opposition is having a nice run, or you should, because it's part of your game plan to know, and then you decide, hey, you know what, we're just going to run it. And when you don't have success with the run, you don't change the play call. I got to point this out. I got to point this out because this is so important. In the first 2 series, the Chicago Bears went 6 of 6 passing. In the rest of the game, by the way, that's over 3 quarters, they threw 10 more passes. And I want you guys to think about that. Think about how detrimental that was to the development of Justin Fields. Just think about that. That is insanity at its finest. And that is an example of why Luke Getzey cannot be in Chicago anymore. Okay. He basically gave the game away, in my opinion, to Green Bay without even trying. And here's the other part. The part that concerned me was, did Matt Eberflus, was he the one that said, hey, let's just run this and see what happens? If he did, then shame on him. And I hope that he learned a valuable lesson if he's going to be the coach going forward. If that's the case, then I hope that he learned a valuable lesson that you can't do. Like, come on, guy, give your guys a chance for success. And you did not, whoever made that decision did not give the Chicago Bears a chance for success. And that is preposterous to me. That is preposterous to me. So I do hope that we get a lot better. I do hope that we get some serious improvement out of this team going forward, if that was the case. And if not, then here's what I think. I think that no matter who we have, again, I'm not as big a fan of Clint Kubiak, and we're going to move on. But I'd still take Shane Waldron over here. But now we have Greg Olsen, the Seattle Seahawks quarterbacks coach, and do we need a quarterbacks coach for Justin Fields? The answer, of course, is obviously yes. But I do have another. I do have another one over here, a free agent position coach I'm a big fan of, in fact, because I watched him growing up, that I think would be a fantastic addition and perhaps somebody that could help tremendously Justin Fields to improve what he is doing. And look, let me spoil that for you right now and just tell you that Ken Dorsey is out here. I grew up on the U, Miami football. That was the big stuff. Jimmy Johnson, Howard Schnellenberger, which is from Louisville, by the way, my hometown. So a big fan of the U, big fan of the University of Louisville, and Ken Dorsey was a quarterback for Miami, and he's been a pretty good guy. He's been coaching since 2013. He was there for Newton's best season, was instrumental in Allen's development. If Chicago is leaning towards drafting somebody with that number one pick, have somebody like Dorsey would be a huge guy. But here's the thing, not just that, not just, but what about Justin Fields? Give me somebody who can work with Justin Fields. So, we got Ken Dorsey out here, not for OC, but for quarterback coach. Now, Greg Olsen coming in as a quarterback, quote unquote, guru, and he's had a lot of experience. And, to see him come in and maybe have a little run here, not a bad idea. And then you have Liam Cohen. Liam Cohen is the Kentucky football offensive coordinator. I think this is more of a college-oriented offense. However, Liam Cohen is responsible for Will Levis. And what's the guy's name? Dustin Leary or Devin Leary. And Devin Leary this year, they've been a pretty good team in a very difficult SEC. Not a great team, not a great team, but that is more of a product of the culture of the University of Kentucky. For the University of Kentucky, they've been kind of second rate to Louisville for a number of years until just recently. Louisville's been struggling quite a bit, and Kentucky has been kind of coming along and learning the ropes, if you will, of how to coach and how to win in a much tougher league than what Louisville's playing in. So you've seen in the last couple of years, the Kentucky offense has been greatly improved. And I think we owe it to Liam Cohen to recognize that that's probably the reason why. So that sounds like a great guy. So my order of ops here would be, if I'm forced to make a choice, I would be looking for Shane Waldron, number one. I would think that Shane Waldron is my number one guy. Then I would be looking at Liam Cohen, because I think what he's done has been nothing short of fantastic when I look at what Kentucky football has been able to do. Then I would go with Clint Kubiak because he's young. He's got a long career. Problem with that is I don't think that he's going to stay for very long. So I would like to see somebody who I feel would be there a little bit longer. But you know what? I could be telling myself that to begin with. Clint Kubiak could be the Chicago Bears offensive coordinator for. I hope you guys agree with it. I do think Shane Waldron is the guy for me so far. Now, for those of you that don't know and that missed out on it, Josh McDaniel has been mentioned in the mix. No interview being done yet, but he's in the mix here. I'm not a fan of Josh McDaniel. Because, look, I don't think the Raiders team was very good when he was the coach, and I don't think they improved. I don't think that he made that team any better. So could be that he was just out of position. And also, it is very difficult for me to say, hey, Josh McDaniel is the GOAT of OCs when your quarterback is Tom Brady. I mean, we do have to break out at some point and recognize that, Tom Brady was a decision maker on another level for quarterbacks. And he was probably one of the best that we will ever see, or at least that we'll see in our lifetime. He certainly is up there. And you make an argument, Peyton Manning, maybe. You make an argument of a few of these guys, but I mean, Tom Brady is Tom Brady. So, but does that make Josh McDaniels look better than he actually is? That's the question. Now, I would venture to say that between Josh McDaniel and Bill Belichick, they really did a great job of finding the right sort of talent to surround Tom Brady with. So, if Josh McDaniel is the guy, and I don't think that he is, but if Josh McDaniel is the guy, fine. I'll accept that. But let's move on just a little bit more. Ken Dorsey is considered out here for the quarterbacks. This is an opportunity from Chicago. This is from Sports Mockery, by the way. And then for wide receivers, Edgar Bennett. This one is cheating slightly since it isn't clear if any member of the Las Vegas Raiders staff is available. But I figured it was fair game since Antonio Pierce is actively interviewing with other organizations. Bennett is a former running back for Green Bay and Chicago. After starting his coaching career at that same position, the Packers soon discovered he had an affinity for wide receivers. He was instrumental in developing Randall Cobb, Devontae Adams, Jordy Nelson, and Hunter Renfrow. So that looks like an instant opportunity for the Bears to upgrade their wide receiving core. And then for running backs, Pete Carroll brought Morton to Seattle in 2017, where he served as the running back coach ever since. And in that time, he's done some truly impressive work. He helped get a 1,000-yard season from guys like Chris Carson and Kenneth Walker. He played the position himself for several years in the NFL and has experience coaching in that Shanahan-McVay style. It appears Eberflus is aiming for someone like that. Morton has a background and track record necessary for the job. Now, if you remember, we lost our running back coach at the beginning of this year for reasons still unknown, which is absolutely crazy and should be, by the way. It concerns me, and it should concern, I think, everybody. My opinion, by the way, but it concerns me that Ryan Poles did not put a little bit more into Matt Eberflus hiring practices. And if that's the case, then Ryan Poles was the guy that would have hired was it Alan Williams to run to be the OC. And so I'm concerned that gives me pause. And I don't feel like I should have pause. I feel like I should be looking at these guys and being like, yeah, let's go, baby. But it doesn't seem to be that way. So I'm concerned that Eberflus might be missing on a lot of these hires. So, just reading about these guys, I have a character concern about Matt Eberflus' ability to find a quality talent and to find a quality person in his positions. Because again, if you take those out of the mix and you say, hey, look, Alan Williams, the hire didn't work. Demetrius Lewis, I want to say was the running back. It didn't work. And then Luke Getsy didn't work. Like, we're not even close. Even though we do have a good defensive team, and Matt Eberflus, a defensive minded guy, came through with a pretty good with a pretty good season. The Chicago Bears, again, I do have to state this, and I state this all of the time. Chicago Bears were the number one rushing defense in all of football last year. So, and to be fair, if you start to go down this list and you start to look, that other than Detroit and San Francisco, like, it wasn't even close. So, he was doing something right. Now, when you come to the passing game, of course, they were not even middle of the pack. They were in the lower part of the pack here. So, there's some work to be done. But again, you could now at that point, you can make an argument that, 100 less yards overall, and suddenly we're middle of the pack. So we can make an argument for that. But look, when you rank at the bottom, you rank at the bottom. So that's, I have concerns. I have a few concerns. So that wraps that portion up. So what are we talking about here in chat? We've got Kareem Slayton, Bear Down, Gator Bite, When King Poles took over 2 years ago, he said and made it appear super clear this was a full rebuild through the draft. That takes time. Yes, it does. And it is working. Love Shane Waldron, but don't want to hire an OC that will be a head coach next year. I think that anybody who does a good job is going to be that. So I don't know that we're ever going to really find somebody long term that would not kind of fit that bill. But that's what I was saying at the end here. I would like to hire somebody who's going to be here a little bit longer. So yeah, maybe this is not the guy for us. But also, what if we just push it out 1 year and just to be contrarian, just run it for Justin Fields. I really do believe we will keep Fields. There's too much long-term success to be gained by trading this number 1 pick. I do think that too. Again, I think, look, you run it back with Justin Fields one more time, costs $6 million against your salary cap. You have to decide for yourself on the tape. Do you like Caleb Williams? Does Caleb Williams represent is Caleb Williams that guy for you? Do you get the chance to look at Caleb Williams and do you say to yourself, like, this is the greatest player that I've ever seen? If that's the case, then maybe you make that decision. I don't think that I don't think that he's as good as all that. And it's no disrespect towards Caleb Williams, but everybody can't be a generational talent. So far in this draft, Caleb Williams is a generational talent. Drake May is a generational talent. Marvin Harrison Jr. is a generational talent. Brock Bowers is a generational talent. Everybody can't be a generational talent. If it were, then we would have generational talents all over the NFL at all times, and we don't. We've got good, talented players. So if we miss on Caleb Williams, if we were to trade down in this draft, still get Marvin Harrison Jr. By the way, if you trade with the Commanders, if you trade with, I want to say Atlanta, maybe you pick up the number 1 pick next year because they're not going to do it in the draft. They're not going to become a better team, and then you now have a big pick in the top of the draft, and you can continue to add to your stack. And what if that, not generational, but just decent enough quarterback, if you have to move on from Justin Fields, in the event that you have to move on? If you do, then you've got the pick in order to do it, because you can still pick up some good. You're still going to have some good players. Let's see, 2025 draft QBs. I'm going to look ahead. We're going to look at the quarterback ranking in the 2025 draft. Okay, assuming Caleb Williams is gone and out of the mix, and we can now get into what happens in 2025 if we hold on to Justin Fields. Well, how about, let's pop this on the screen. Shedeur Sanders, Dion's kid. Now, I don't know that he's a great quarterback or not a great quarterback. I know that they went 1-8 after having a good start. So maybe he's okay. But you have Drew Aller coming out, grading out pretty well. Then you have Connor Weigman. So you have a couple of selections here, and then you could have Caleb Williams coming back into the draft in the event that he stays. No announcement so far for Caleb Williams, unless it comes in at the last moment here. And we don't have any updates so far. So so we don't have that. We don't have any update on Caleb. But again, you can still get a quarterback next year in the draft. So everybody who's telling you, LaShawn McCoy, all of these guys who are out here like Justin Fields isn't doing anything. All those guys that are out here, the haters, right? You got to take Caleb Williams. No, you don't. You absolutely don't. Because guess what? There's going to be somebody else in the next draft. And quarterbacks, everybody in this draft is hit or miss. The only one that would probably be can't miss at this point is going to be Marvin Harrison Jr. And of course, it depends on how he's used, whether or not he is can't miss or not. That also comes into consideration. So I would say, and I would posit, and I would venture to everybody who's paying attention that we can run it back with Justin Fields. We can be successful with Justin Fields, and we can get a decent quarterback next year. And is it going to be a generational talent like Caleb Williams? No, because he's not a generational talent either. He's a good quarterback that makes a lot of good plays in an offense that's designed to make him look like that. So, not convinced that that's the guy. So, we can run this back absolutely, very simply. Hope they run it back. The Williams drama is too much, as we were saying before. And yeah, I mean, I don't know if I don't know if it's drama so much as the guy wears his passion on his sleeve. He wants to be a winner. That's pretty good for me. JF1 is a stud. JF1 situation is enough for me. Caleb stay in school. He is so worried about his brand and going number one, and maybe go for it. But Caleb Williams is not going to stay in school. That would be foolish. No, that's only foolish if you don't have money. One of the things is, what do you enjoy? You could be a number one draft pick. Jared Verse last year was a number one draft pick, but his family has money, so he was not forced to go play. And by the way, Caleb Williams, I think, makes over $2 million a year as the USC quarterback. I mean, what's foolish about it? If you can make $9 million as the number one draft pick, sure. But you're already making a couple $1,000,000 a year as the quarterback at USC. So, I mean, you're not going broke. You're not going poor. You're making your money in college now. This is a different level. NIL is totally different now. Matter of fact, I think Jalen Milroe made $3.5 million this year. You know what? How much did Caleb Williams make this year? Okay. Kiss my ass. I'm not even close. Caleb Williams made $3.2 million this year. So if you're telling me that Caleb Williams has to come out, no. These guys can stay around and they can make a bunch of money in college still. He will be starting in New England, most probably. His dad made it clear that he could. Let's move on down here. We're going to skip a couple of these guys. Have to admit, I just like Fields. I can see how scary he can be at this. Look, I think we're all kind of Justin Fields fans. We do get frustrated, generally speaking, because we want to see success and we want to see the success of the team. We want to see the Chicago Bears do what the Chicago Bears are supposed to do. They're supposed to run the ball super hard. They're supposed to play a suffocating defense. And we have a quarterback. We're supposed to have a quarterback who is dynamic and can make sure that we're on the winning side, that makes the plays when it matters. The concern that you should have about Justin Fields is that he doesn't do that in the fourth quarter. But if you have that concern, then you should also at least have the wisdom to recognize, and guys, if you don't recognize this at this point, I'm not saying that you don't have wisdom, I'm not saying that you're an idiot or anything. But you should recognize that in the fourth quarter of Chicago Bears games, the Chicago Bears coaches have done very, very, very little to create successful situations for Justin Fields. And I'm not saying that he's a cool cat under pressure. I'm not saying that he's that guy. But I am saying that he's not been given an opportunity. And look, if you call the worst possible play or the most predictable possible play, if you create situations in which you're overstressing a young quarterback and putting them in dire straits or dire situations, and you have a losing record and you can't win games, and you're calling bad plays, if you're doing all of those things and you've got that all piled up on you, then it would stand to reason that Justin Fields hasn't been that good in the fourth quarter. And here's the thing: if you were to talk to somebody like a LaShawn McCoy, or what's that other guy, Sean, whatever his stupid name is, that keeps crying about Justin Fields on ESPN, then maybe you've convinced yourself that Justin Fields is not your guy, and that's fair enough. I mean, it's fair enough, but at what point does coaching become, hey, Justin Fields, because he only had one pass, threw an interception or fumbled the ball or something like that, because there's too much pressure on him to perform because the team is not performing, because suddenly we're playing prevent defense instead of attacking the quarterback by the way, we're rushing 4. I mean, think about this. Think about this. We're rushing 4 in the fourth quarter of the game, thinking that our 4, who didn't have any sacks through 7 games, that our front 4 is going to be crushing because Montez Sweat is now there. We made some poor decisions. We made some very poor decisions about how to coach this game. It's just bonkers. It's just bonkers to me. But if we just assume that Justin Fields will get better by virtue of having an offensive coordinator who wants to be better, who will play to his strengths and not to his weaknesses. If we can just assume that, well, then we've solved quite a bit of the problem that we currently have with Justin Fields. So, I think the Bears are going to be better. I think the Bears, by virtue of that situation alone, become a much better team. And let me know what you think. I mean, am I making any sense here? If I'm crazy, you can tell me that I'm crazy, because I've been crazy before. I'm most believable man in the world. You know what I mean? But if you think that I'm crazy, that's fine. That's fine. I maybe so. But I do want to run it back with Justin Fields. I do think that we've missed the boat with his ability, with his elusiveness, with his ability to get downfield. And I think we've seen enough to know that he can make the big plays. We just haven't seen the big plays called in the right time. I mean, look, guys, if you're a rushing team and you predominantly want to rush the ball, 55% of the time, maybe somewhere in the neighborhood of 60% of the time, you want to run on first down. But you can't be predictable. You can't run every first down, right? And I get you know what? Let's see if we got Bears play calling by down 2023. Let's see. Now I am interested and wondering. This may be something that we do tomorrow. This may be something that we go look at for tomorrow. But yeah, most of the stats here, most of the stats here that I'm seeing right now are not. Yeah, it's not giving me what I'm looking for. It's not giving me what I'm looking for. The Bears blog says right here. Here we go. As a matter of fact, we can use this. This is just an idea right here. First down, running on 55% of the plays. We're a run first sort of guy. So we're predictable in that regard. This was last year, but 2022, 2020, before 2023 started, by the way. But then in the second one, you can see all the red flags, by the way, that are popping up on this team. And then you have here we go. Based on 1 to 2 yards to go, run on 73% of play. Become predictable. And what you're looking for is that predictability. And what you want is everything should be in the white right here, by the way. Just so you know, everything should be in the white right here. It shouldn't be in the green, because you're predictable if you're in the green. And in the red, you're failing. So what you're looking for is don't be predictable. So, and this is horrible. and as you know, as you go down here, then you get the sense here that here with the run, if it's 1 to 2 yards on a third plus fourth down, there's a 90% chance that the Bears are going to run. How predictable do you have to be in order for that? But we're going to analyze that a little bit more going forward later on. It just seems like I don't think that we're doing the things that give us success. So we'll see what happens going forward. But tomorrow we're going to cover a little bit about that, and we're going to get the we're going to do whatever we can to make sure that we're giving you the best possible news about what is going on with the Chicago Bears. And for that, it is my time now. It is gym time to go get that quote unquote pump on. So I want to say thank you to each and every one of you for coming in for tuning in. Super chats, I think, are now open, and you can become a member of the channel if you want to support the channel. If you haven't already, please make sure that you hit the like button on the way in. As we get this going, we are going to make sure that there is private members only content concerning the Chicago Bears, where we'll probably be talking about some of the greatest of these Chicago Bears players of all time over the next coming days, weeks, and months. So thank you so much for tuning in. I appreciate each and every one of you. I want to, by the way, perfect comment right here. Offense last year was very predictable. And when you know what your team is going to do and you're not calling the plays to trick people, you're not giving your quarterback a chance, an opportunity to option out. You're not giving people a chance for success. Then, I mean, I don't know. I don't know what to say. And Alan Gregory, I want to push back on you just a little bit here. And I want to say that the Bears ended up with the number one rushing defense. While at the same time saying what I told you before and what I said earlier here, I don't think that, I think that if it was Matt Eberflus who hired all these bad hires, Alan Williams at defensive coordinator, Luke Getsy, I think if he hired all these people, he should be held accountable. If Ryan Poles did, somebody here is making very poor and very bad decisions. So, but you should at least recognize, number one, the team is still playing hard at the end of the season, winning 5 of their last 8 games. They are playing hard at the end of the season. Number two, they're the number one rushing defense in all of football. So those statistics can't be thrown away. You have to at least consider them. It's fair enough to give him one more run to run it back. And again, 2025, you can still pick up a great, depending on what you do in the draft, you can still pick up a great player. You can still do quite a bit. But the Bears closed out the season pretty strong. Green Bay game notwithstanding, it's the possibility exists that, um, uh, sure. I mean, dude, you can argue all kinds of different points. They didn't close out games appropriately. There's plenty of different things. I would put that on Luke Getsy for not closing out games and putting too much pressure on the defense to continue to stop all game long while not getting enough pressure on the quarterback because you lost your defensive coordinator. So there's a lot of things that were just kind of nuts. You know what I mean? So we'll see. Maybe, maybe not. But in the meantime, you guys have a good day, and we'll talk to you again very, very soon. Bear down.